Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Art Side of Life, where it's all about how you can turn your creative passion into a profession. My name is Eva and my guest today is a comic artist, author and YouTuber from Lytham, England. She's a big fan of cartoons, video games, brush pens, watercolors and bats. She wanted to be animator ever since she watched Lion King on the day of her 6th birthday. She has a popular YouTube and Twitch channel where she shares videos about art, illustration, and her life as a freelancer. She's currently moving from England to Canada to pursue her dream of working in the animation. Her artistic nickname is inspired by bees and their preservation. So please welcome Morgana Melia, and also known as JellieBee. And let's get to the interview. So welcome everyone to the next episode of Art Side of Life, and I'm super happy to have my new guest here today. Hi!
Hi.
So let's start with your background, and if you can talk about a bit how you grew up and when did you first realize that you want to do art?
Very, very early on actually. I was always into like animated movies as a kid, and I think I kind of remember the exact date, and this is really weird because I was 6 years old. It was my 6th birthday. So that was October the 18th, 1995. So it's like ages away. And I got The Lion King on VHS, and I remember sitting and watching the credits. Like I was like crying because the movie was so good, and I just thought that like that was what I wanted to work in, like animation. That was the turning point for me. So I remember the date. It's really weird, but yeah. So
Wow.
my family's always been quite creative anyway, so I think it was a natural thing. Yeah.
But when you mentioned The Lion King, actually that was my first animated movie I went to see in a cinema. So
Oh
I
wow.
totally remember that also when I was in a
Yeah.
grammar school, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. And everyone was talking about it before I went to see it, you know? So I was like, okay, we have to go see it. And so,
It was. I remember it was so weird because I remember like the house I was in, where I was sat in the house. It's such a bizarre, clear memory, but it's one of my favorite movies, obviously now. So yeah.
and so how was it when you told your parents first time that I want to take art seriously?
My mum's kind of because I grew up with my mum and my nana and my granddad. My dad wasn't in my life, but my mum was like, she kind of knew that I was going to go that way, but she's like, Morgan, please don't. There's no money in it. Like the whole starving artist thing. She wanted me to, because I had quite a lot of interests. I was interested in being an author or a paleontologist. Weirdly enough, I have like a really big interest in history in general. So yeah, it was. I think she was a little bit upset that I chose the riskiest one. And actually, I kind of with the UK hasn't got such a strong background with animation as like say America or Japan. So I kind of trailed off from it a little bit when I was in high school, and then I was going to join the police force, and I was all set to do it. I was like this close, and this college came to do a demonstration of the courses they had, and one of them was like animation, like multimedia animation, web design, and I was like, no, I'm going to go to art college. And it was the same college my mum had gone to because she did fashion there. And she was like, oh, here we go. She's back on the art. But yeah, so I didn't look back from that. So yeah. I think she's happy that I'm happy, but I think she wishes that I'd also done something academic.
Yeah. And
Just so I could, yeah, sorry.
and what do you think were those kind of like maybe best lesson you learned from your mom?
Um, Kind of just to stick to what makes you happy. As long as you're happy, then you know you're doing the right thing in life. She's always supported me in whatever life direction I have taken, even if it's not the one she would have picked. You know, she's always supported me no matter what. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, that's perfect. And so when you were saying also that you wanted to join police force, did you also like train and did the exams before or?
No, I didn't get as far as that because with me still being in school, I had to wait till I left school, and that college that came to do their demonstration came in the last year of school, and it was literally a last minute decision. I applied, got the interview, and got in. And I was getting all like my stuff ready for the police force at the same time, and I just took the other path entirely. So no, I hadn't trained or anything. I think I would have followed it through if I'd started training, actually. So God knows where I would have been.
And when did you start your YouTube channel? When was the decision?
I uploaded some little videos here and there. Not really anything grand or anything like with a direction. My first video was January 31st, 2014. And it was a video of like, not this room, I was living in another house, but I filmed my work setup. Because I liked watching other people's videos of that. And I guess the strongest influence on me with that was another YouTuber called Bailey J. And I'd been talking to her a little bit, and she's like nearly at 1 million subscribers now. She's like way up there, and I'm so proud of her for it. And but she was my biggest inspiration, like pushing me to still do videos and encouraging me. And yeah, she was really lovely, and she's a good friend now.
So how did you guys meet, or how do you do the networking, or like did you meet through YouTube or somehow different?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was looking up tutorials for this specific brand of marker, Copic markers, and at the time she was like the only person doing any videos or any information on these markers, and that's how I found her. And I was really shy for like the first few years, and then when I lived in Hong Kong, I actually messaged her and said, thank you for doing what you do, and can I send you a present? And it took me a while to get it all together, this little package, and then I sent her that, and then that was it. So yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Had like loads of stickers in and like artwork that I'd made, and there's still a video on her channel of her opening it, and it's so weird thinking how long ago that was. So
amazing.
Yeah.
And so you also do a lot of unboxing, right? And the art supply things. And so
yeah.
When this kind of obsession came to be, when did you kind of first time try some of these, like art supplies and like, oh my God, I love this one or this one?
I think I've always had a fascination with going supply shopping anyway, like especially stationery. I'm like, I don't need that, but it seems useful, like another tape dispenser or something like that. I don't know. There's a real thrill to buying supplies and stationery. I worked in an art store briefly as well, and that was just heaven. But I think the unboxing thing is fun because it's a mystery to me and it's a mystery to the viewers, and then because they give you a supply like in these boxes, especially Scroller Box, that's the one that I work with the most at the moment. They don't tell you what's in it until you've opened it, and then you have to draw with what you're given, and it's actually opened me up to a lot of new mediums, I don't know the right word for that, new things that I've been able to try out and enjoy as a result of that. So it's really opened up my sort of, because I was just markers or just digital for the longest time, and I've really expanded on that now. So yeah.
And do you have like favorite tools now, or something you can recommend, like, okay, I really love this, because you mentioned Copic markers as well? Do you have some other brands you like?
I really like Winsor & Newton's watercolors. Those are my favorites at the moment. I'm actually kind of being more known for my watercolors at the moment than other things that I've done. Even though my background is entirely digital, I had to teach myself, like when I mentioned earlier about the police force, I actually wasn't in the right subject in high school to like enter an art college, so I had to create my own portfolio from scratch, and all I had was this awful old graphics tablet. There's no brand on it. It cost me £30, and I had an old version of Photoshop, and so I had to teach myself digital art from the ground up, and that was like the only art background I had. So I've kind of gone in the reverse, so from digital to watercolors now. Yeah. And I think like my Cintiq's great, and I was more well known for my digital art and stuff like that, but yeah, no, watercolors are really my favorite thing at the moment. I don't know what, I hated them until like last year. I absolutely hated them, and then now they're my favorite thing. It's so weird.
I think it's kind of hard to master, like when you try and
Yeah,
then you need to kind of learn how to work with them
yeah,
because they have really specific behavior.
definitely, definitely. It was such a big learning curve, but for some reason, I just pushed through it. So yeah, and I'm really enjoying it now.
Oh, that's really cool. Because actually, I started like you. I started with the digital, and then I
Yeah,
started to learn like by myself all these traditional techniques. And I was like, oh my God, this
yeah,
is so hard.
I know. It's like I can't just erase something and have another layer underneath, and I can't, undo if I mess up, then I've got to start again, or I've got to find some way to fix this. That's just
Yeah.
I don't know why I stuck with traditional art so much, because I stopped doing digital art just because my computer was broken, and I had no choice. I had to still make videos, and I just picked up as many traditional media as I could, and it was like you said, like, what do I do? It's so hard. You've got to learn all the specific things. It's like a ritual almost,
Yeah.
and it was just bizarre learning it all, but I enjoyed it, and here I am now.
So, what would you say it's kind of some vision or like branding what you put in your art?
Um, I like to I like to show my influences a lot. I think that does show. I've been asked, like, currently I'm really influenced by shows on Cartoon Network, specifically Steven Universe. And I've been asked if I work on the show, if I do the comics, and I'm like, no, I'm just a fan artist, and it's a big compliment. But I like to show that I am giving back to what I'm influenced by. I
Yeah.
like that to shine through my work. Um, and as far as the name JellieBee, like that little branding title, the bumblebee, sort of the bee bit, comes from um, in university. Sorry, this is like a big long conversation about bees, but I supported the sort of the regeneration of bees in particular, because they're dying out, and my final animation was all about like the preservation of them, and so I became known as the person who likes the bees, and so that's where the bee part comes from, and I'm still a big supporter and member of the Bumblebee Conservation Trust. I support them annually and talk about them where I can and support them as much as I can.
Oh,
And
perfect. We can put the
so,
link like to them in the show
yeah,
notes.
definitely, I'd love that.
That would be
Yeah.
super cool. And do you have bees as well, like in the garden or by the house or somewhere?
I wish. I currently live in a first floor flat, so I'm off the
On
ground.
the
We're not allowed.
balcony.
I wish we're not allowed window boxes or anything like that.
Wow.
We're not allowed, and I'm like, it makes me sad. But in my old house, we had lavender, which is a bumblebee's like favorite flower is lavender, or one of, and it was just full of bumblebees. It was great.
Ah, that's super. Well, they're
Um,
fascinating.
so much so that I have two pet birds. And one of them's yellow. If you can hear bird noises, that's what they are. I forgot to say that at the beginning.
So,
Um,
what birds are they?
I have two budgies, parakeets, budgies, whatever they're called. I know that America calls them parakeets, but yeah, one of them's like yellow and black, and he's called Bumble. And then the blue one's called Pixel.
Oh, that's so
So
cool. I love it.
I love them. I love them so much. I think I dote on them a bit too much, but who doesn't with their pets, you know?
Yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. And actually, my father also has bees. So it's like he has a garden and he has like, I don't know how they call it in English, the when you have the two boxes.
Yeah. No, I don't know what they're called actually. I'm trying to think now. I've just got the word bee boxes in my
Bee
head.
box. Yeah, that's what I'm.
Bee box.
Okay, let's call it bee box.
Yeah.
And so now when you have like a really successful YouTube channel, and what would you think like people should start with if they would like to be where you are now, or kind of some advice if you can give to people?
I think my main advice with YouTube is to not be afraid, because I was so shy. I'm quite introverted, but I can also make myself extroverted for things like Comic Cons. If I'm meeting people, I can sort of put that out there. But I think I know that a lot of artists typically have like anxiety and social problems that they can't, like, especially with cameras, they're like scared of cameras. And I think my biggest advice is just keep going and push yourself as hard as you can, and it will become natural. Like, I've got 2 cameras pointing at me right now. I've got video cameras, and I think I still don't like the sound of my own voice when I'm editing. I don't think I'll ever get over that.
I don't think no one.
No. And like, everyone who has ever said, oh, I don't want to start YouTube just in case, like, I don't like the sound of my voice, or I don't want to see myself on the internet, and little things like that. Like, everyone's had that same thought, like, and you're with like-minded people who are scared of cameras, or were at some point, and so just keep going, and have an upload schedule, which is like hypocritical of me to say, because I've ruined my schedule at the moment with moving, and if you can have a schedule, that's my other biggest piece of advice. Definitely.
Yeah, and you mentioned also some of the good advice what you had before, and something maybe you wish you knew before you started. Is there like a worst advice you ever received?
Not necessarily advice, but rather I think what kind of put me off a little bit was there's always little pockets of negativity anywhere. You get a community, there's always going to be little pockets of negativity, and there's little sort of groups of people that sort of oppose things that I do, like because I draw fan art or because I have a cartoony style, they think like their work or someone else's work is better. There can be quite a lot of negativity, but as soon as you can push through that, you've got to just put your blinkers on and remember what you're doing, and why you love it. And I think I've been told awful things like fan art I'll never improve because I draw fan art, which is a lie, because I have improved. And just being told that like I'm bad for doing fan art, and I keep going back to fan art. That's normally where the negativity comes from, unfortunately, in like this little art community. But I think just pushing through that has like helped me out a lot, especially with dealing with negative people in general. And so it's not necessarily bad advice, but rather like bad thoughts from other people. And it's been difficult, but I've got through it.
So what did you learn from it? What is the kind of the key takeaway?
To stay true to yourself, mostly. As Disney as that sounds, like, I'm not going to burst into song, don't worry.
That would be cool.
Just if you're enjoying something, don't ever let someone tell you that that's not right. And I feel like negative people are always trying to bring you down because they've got their own problems, and if you can sort of see them as something else that you can deal with later, just remember they're probably not attacking you because they hate you, but they've probably got problems. And I just try and see everyone as human, and that's how I've dealt with that. Just, I know that they're not having a great time right now, and that's how I deal with negativity. I just think that no one really hates me or other people that have suffered. They're just victims of people who are taking it out on them. And it's not nice, but that's how I've dealt with it.
True. But how do you then kind of do the motivation of yourself? Do you do like, I don't know, walks in the nature, or do you have like some specific meditation for motivation?
Oh, I wish it was as like healthy sounding as that. It's more playing video games. Those are my biggest motivating like forces are like the video games I play. So currently I am so into a video game series called Persona. Oh my gosh, and it's so inspiring. Like, it's really heavily stylized with the artwork, and it's really motivational and inspirational. What else motivates me? Oh gosh, I think reading comics as well, like sort of putting myself back into the shoes of the people that I admire the most, or the works that I admire the most, keeps me going.
Oh, perfect. And you also mentioned the paleontology before, right? Do you still have the inspiration from the history and all of this in your work, or not so much right now?
Not so much dinosaurs and bones. I do have a friend who draws like dragons and dinosaurs really well, and I just think that she's incredible. I wish I could do that, but no. With history in general, I'm mostly influenced by Japanese history.
Hmm.
So I will actually listen to a lot of classical Japanese music, which I don't think is for everyone. It's things like kabuki performances and like shamisen and koto instruments. And I love researching their art history and history in general. And I do like to apply that to my work, especially sort of Shintoism. This is so bizarre, I know. But that really motivates and inspires me as well, like doing a bit of history and looking at things that, came before me. So,
Yeah, but I
yeah.
also heard like some artists when they are creating characters, when they want to have like a mean character, then they have this really strong music, or so actually it
Yeah.
influences your mood, so you can create the character
Yeah,
better. So it
definitely.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Actually, music has inspired me quite a bit. I always forget about music because I don't have a specific musical taste.
Hmm.
I kind of like what I like,
Yeah.
which is like some people say, "Oh, I only listen to like rock music or I only listen to hip hop," and I'm like everything, everything. Um, and if a song sticks in my head, normally I can start writing or like developing characters from that. So, like you said, yeah, music's actually I always forget about music.
That's perfect. And how do you work every day, or how do you design your day, or maybe how do you do planning of your work? And also now with your moving, and so everything is, I guess, different. But if you can
Yeah.
maybe describe your, like work process, day, week, day.
Yeah, I used to upload videos every like weekend, so I'd do that around like Wednesday to Thursday. Um, Not with me moving now. I'm kind of taking a little bit of a step back until I'm settled. In terms of like planning comics and stuff, I'm really into like thumbnailing and making sure that I have everything planned out beforehand. So I've got sketchbooks full of like thumbnails and ideas. And I make sure I draw every single day. I have to draw every day, or else I start to like feel a bit weird. I'm like, I've got to draw. I just have to. And if it's on like my phone or anything I can grab hold of to draw, I will. um, I wish I did this more often, but I used to do a lot of life drawing and gesture
Hmm.
studies in the morning to like it's like exercising, like warming up like that way. I haven't done it recently as much because life has got in the way a little bit. But yeah, I will hopefully get back into that a lot more. Yeah,
And
I think that's really
and so
important.
how did you decide to move to Canada, or what was the main reasoning, if you can share with the audience?
Yeah, I've always wanted that career in animation. Like I've always wanted it. And like I said, in the UK, our industry is a little bit it's not as full on as like it's not as commercial. There's a lot of there's big studios. There's like Brown Bag. There's Aardman. There's there's a few like we have our own Cartoon Network studio here as well, which I almost got a job at. I was so close. I almost got a job on Gumball, and I wouldn't have moved to Canada if I had. Um, but I've just felt that the industry is not as big here, and the jobs are therefore more competitive. Um, and I just wanted to try it in North America where it thrives so much. And I know that Vancouver's quite a hot spot for animation. I think the dream would be to live in California where it all really kicks off. That would be the dream. Like I have my dream goal.
That's good.
But yeah, that was my motivation to move to Canada. Also, a little bit on a more personal level, I had a pretty serious family death last year. Um, and my Auntie Lynn, who I was going to move in with in Canada, very suddenly passed away. And I'm kind of doing it for her as well. Like there's been a few times where I'm like, I'm not going to go because it's too difficult. It's so much upheaval. I'm leaving my birds with my partner. He's staying here. My birds are staying here. My family's here. I felt like selfish and everything like that. But I'm doing it for Lynn as well. So, because I know that she'd be happy with me doing it.
Oh, that's super nice. I'm really sorry to hear, and but it's really nice that you know you are like going there and like trying to follow your passion,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I'm excited, very excited.
And so, how do you now combine your income streams, or do you have one main one, or because you do also like YouTube, maybe some sponsorships, and then you have
Yeah.
art prints, right? And you are selling in a
Yeah.
different level. So, can you explain how do you combine your income streams?
Yeah, my main income stream is actually YouTube and Twitch.tv. So I live stream 2 to 3 times a week when I'm not moving house. And I feel bad saying like I do all of this, but not at the moment. I'm sorry. But yeah, I love live streaming so much. It's just so rewarding. If if I wanted to stop YouTube, I would just stream like 5 or 6 days a week. It's so rewarding. I don't want to stop YouTube, don't worry. And it's the same amount of income on both platforms. But like you said, I also sell my prints online in my own shop, which goes a bit crazy. I have to get my friend up to like help me out with packaging sometimes. It gets a little bit insane. And also comic conventions. I sell my artwork there, which I want to do a video series on that actually, about setting up at Comic Cons and stuff. So yeah.
That's really nice, yeah. And which Comic Cons or which cons or festivals are the ones you go to?
I exclusively do the string of them called MCM. So they do 2 London ones, a Manchester, 2 Birminghams, there's Glasgow, there's 2 in Ireland, every single year. It's Telford. And I think they've just branched out into Europe as well. I'm not sure. I think they have, but I haven't been. But I do both Londons, there's Manchester, and any of the other ones that I can, get to, because it's a lot of driving and a lot of hotels, and it's very exhausting. But it's good.
Perfect. And how did you choose your the shop where you sell the art prints? Like, because you, if I am not mistaken, you have a Redbubble as well.
I do.
Yeah.
I have a Redbubble and a Ticktail at the moment. I've kind of jumped around a little bit with my online stores. I originally coded my own website, and that was a pain. So I quit that and moved to Store Envy, but I had a few issues with Store Envy, with a few people sort of like kind of not receiving their orders. So yeah, I had a few issues with my post office, losing a lot of stuff. That was a nightmare. And Store Envy just kind of took a little bit of the side of the, obviously, like if you don't receive your item, you're going to be angry, but there was it wasn't my fault either, and they were like threatening to shut down my store because of Royal Mail, and I was like, so I decided to just sort of like leave that one, and then I tried Wix, which was fun, but I didn't like their store interface, like the back end for their store. So now I'm on Ticktail, and it's so good. I really like it for the fact that it's free as well. It's really good. But I also really like Redbubble as well, because I don't do any of the packaging.
Exactly.
All of the work is taken out. The profit margin's obviously a lot smaller, but the lack of stress is a dream.
Yeah, because you don't have to have any storage or anything basically at home.
Yeah, it's a blessing, really.
And when you are printing your own prints to sell, how do you, or where do you find your printing store? Or do you have recommendations from friends, or how does that work? Because I always have trouble to find a good one.
I actually print from home.
Oh, cool.
I have 2 large format printers. So I've got a 24-inch one, which is really big. And then I have a A3 one that I've purchased them through like business loans and things like that. And I've had to like become my own printer technician, and it's a nightmare. That is also a nightmare. Having to like fix my own printers and stuff. But I've learned so much from it about printing that I've taught myself. But Yeah, I also used to work, the art shop that I worked in was also a print shop,
Mm-hmm.
which was pretty cool. But my biggest advice is find like a local one that you can kind of get on with, like, because when you see the same faces, you know what they want, you know how they like their prints, and so local print shops.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of issues with online print stores, like especially like the ones that are kind of more to do with like printing your holiday
Yeah,
photos,
yeah, yeah.
ones that want to print like children on like jigsaws and like in on the beach, and they just don't consider your artwork, they don't see it as artwork, they just think quick photo printing. It's a good last minute thing if you've run out of prints and you need something like right now and you don't have your own printer.
Mm-hmm.
But finding somewhere that's a little bit more dedicated to art is a lot harder.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So yeah, finding a local print store. Like we didn't like people printing on their own paper, but I know that sometimes we allowed it. Like so, art paper and stuff. You just gotta get a good relationship with the local print store, really.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, especially if they have an inkjet printer, because laser printers aren't the best is in color. I'm looking at my laser printer right now, and I don't want to.
And so the bigger one is inkjet
I have,
printer.
yeah, I have two inkjet printers and one laser printer that's dying a very painful death. It keeps printing blue down the side of everything, and it's really sad.
Oh no.
But yeah, it doesn't. I wouldn't print like art prints or anything on it. Just packaging. I mean, I've used it a lot. So,
Yeah.
but anything if I like, because I love doing packaging and like making things look pretty, and so I've used it a lot.
And so what do you have? What are the printer brands, or it's like people can check it out?
Yeah, I have my really big one is a Canon IPF 6400S, so 6400S, and then my smaller one, which is the one I do recommend, is the Canon Pixma Pro 10S, if I've got that right. Yeah, long names. But I like Canon for their color reproduction from like monitors and stuff from like RGB to CMYK. They're really good.
Perfect.
So I've never had issues other than I don't get on with their customer service, especially when my print heads go out of warranty and they suddenly break and there's like 400, 500 pounds to pay.
Great.
So yeah, but their printers are really good. So if you don't have issues with them, that's good.
And do you also have some special paper you like for printing?
Yeah, I print on really high quality satin. I like matte prints at the moment. They're my favorite. They're really on trend, but they also drain a lot of ink because it doesn't sit on the surface like gloss. Like with glossy paper, it just sits on the surface, like the ink just sits there. Whereas matte is like soaking it up, and it's an ink drain. But they look really good. I really like them.
And do you have like also a favorite brand for that one, or do you use different ones?
It's not really a brand. It's just a website that does their own paper. It's called Photo Paper Direct, and I've been shopping with them for like, 4 years now, maybe. Yeah, maybe longer.
Oh, really?
So
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I also tried to print like bigger prints. I was like, yeah, this one here, I tried to print like, okay, let's try this. And then it came out so glossy, and I'm like, really? And it was so expensive, because it was just one piece for me to try out. And, so I don't think I will use that anymore.
No, I used to think that I should only buy like Canon's own brand of paper, but no, you can get some really, really good like off-brand papers. But like you said, you've got to like test them, and that costs money. And so if you've got a little bit of disposable income to test things out, if not, maybe look up a lot of reviews first. Like, that's my biggest tip with printers is just please like review, like look at so many reviews and how people have printed, and otherwise you could waste a lot of money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, but good. Yeah, and like, do you also have some maybe books you were learning about either the printing or art or some documentaries, movies, or something you would recommend for like our audience to check out?
In terms of printing, no, that was all like blindly going in and testing everything. With artwork, one of my favorite books actually that I would recommend anyone getting into comics are the Scott McCloud Making Comics and Understanding Comics. I always want to call it reading comics. It's not called reading comics, understanding comics. And it's a comic book itself, teaching you how comics are sort of like the psychology behind how we read comics and how you can go about making a really good one. So that definitely the Scott McCloud series, he's a genius. So yeah, those in particular.
Perfect. And what about like movies and documentaries? Do you have a favorite ones?
My favorite movies are all animated. So that says a lot. My favorite movie is actually Howl's Moving Castle, the Studio Ghibli one. And also Summer Wars, which is a Japanese animated movie again. There's a pattern forming. And it's kind of like these two kids from the same school go to this big family get together, and he pretends to be this girl's boyfriend so that they don't think that she's all alone. And but there's this whole other world that gets hacked. It's like if Facebook and Instagram and all of those social medias became more real.
Wow.
And it's such a good movie. Oh my gosh! And I watch it so much. But that's a big influence on me as well.
Oh, that's nice. And
Japanese animation in particular. Yeah.
and so because you mentioned as well that you've been to Hong Kong, did you also visit the Ghibli Museum in Japan?
I did, yes. I've been to Japan twice now. The first time I managed to get into the museum, and I thought that I didn't know you could pre-book. I thought you just went to like 7-Eleven, bought the tickets, and went. Because that's exactly what we did the first time, and I bought my ticket and went, and that was it. The second time I went, I was like, no, we just buy the ticket from the convenience store. No, it was fully booked, and then I realized you could book online. I was so lucky the first time that I hadn't realized. But it's magical. Oh my gosh, no, I can't. I'll never forget that experience. I'm so sad you can't take pictures inside.
Yeah, yeah.
But I enjoyed it.
Exactly. I so wanted to go there, and it was fully booked.
Yeah.
I was like,
I can't believe how lucky I was before. It's bizarre. It's like winning the lottery, the odds of getting in. It was the day before as well.
Wow.
We're just like, we'll go the next day. Oh my gosh, no, never again.
And did you have some like inspirational plays in either Tokyo or the whole Japan or Hong Kong, something for manga animation?
I think Akihabara was just, oh my gosh, there is nothing like it. And also Takeshita Street was a real big, I've got so many photos of it. It's like you're walking into another world entirely when you walk into those areas, and it's just, oh my gosh, amazing. In Hong Kong, I think my favorite places in Hong Kong were whenever it was raining in Hong Kong, because the rain itself is so, during rainy season like June, it's so heavy and it's torrential and there's thunderstorms, and that's my favorite weather. So it always made me happy, oddly enough, when it was pouring down. Everyone else was like trying to get under from the rain, because you can't have an umbrella in Hong Kong because you'll just hit everyone. The amount of umbrellas I've had in my eyes is not good. But yeah, if I could get like a quiet space and just sit and draw and listen to the rain, because it was really heavy, like sheet rain, it was amazing. Never see anything like it again.
So
amazing.
Did you go like to cafes with your tablet, or did you have a sketchbook actually?
I wish I'd been more into sketchbooks back then. I'm really into them now. But I bought myself a small Cintiq when I was in Hong Kong. The 13 HD had just been launched, and I grabbed it so fast. And I would set that up in a cafe and I'd have all my wires all over me, but I thought I was so cool. I would really love to get my hands on one of the professional Cintiq Pro, the ones that you can take anywhere.
Or something, or it's
Yeah,
the newer one now. Yes, yeah, then,
yeah, without wires would be so great. Um, but yeah, I would take my Cintiq out and I thought I was so cool and hip, like in Starbucks, like drawing.
So,
But
and did you draw
yeah,
people or like outdoors and the buildings and stuff?
I'm a big fan of, it's creepy. I really like people watching, but it's kind of drilled into you as an animator
Yeah.
to study people, study, watch what they're doing. So I would draw people as best I could. Um, I've always shied away from environment drawings. I'm not very good at them. It's my big weakness. And I'm trying really hard to develop that at the moment.
Oh, really
But yeah,
nice.
I should try a little bit harder.
And so we also talked about the future a bit, the dream, and if you can imagine yourself with like 5 to 10 years, and where would you be, and what's happening around you?
Oh my gosh. If I could pick anywhere, it would be at Cartoon Network. That's my dream. I'm so transparent. It's like Cartoon Network. If I could be there, I would. I'd love to just work at their studio. Cartoon Network has been a huge inspiration since I was so young, and I didn't realize how much of an inspiration it was until now that I'm like developing my art for studio work. That it's been such a big influence. And if 5 years, that'd be amazing. I'd love that.
Definitely, I think that why wouldn't it happen, right? So,
I just I've got such like I struggle to sort of be confident about my work. Like I could play it off, but like yeah, do this. But sometimes I do struggle a lot with my confidence, and a lot of the people that work at Steven Universe on Steven Universe or Cartoon Network are really sort of artistic idols and goals. Like for me in my life, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, if I was as good as those guys. But I just see their work as like so far above me at the moment. But I think that's just a confidence issue, and hopefully I'll get over that.
yeah, because I think like everyone has this like they want to improve, because if you feel like you reach certain level, you will not improve, and then other people
Yeah.
will be better at it, from you like really fast. So.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep improving.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. And my last question would be about like far future, and what would you like to be remembered for in like 100 years or so?
Ooh, it would be for my work on. I think my dream in life, beyond like just working at Cartoon Network, would be to have my own cartoon, like my own show.
Perfect.
Because I'm always writing stories, and if it wasn't a cartoon, either a video game or a book or something like that, because storytelling, like I said quite early on, that I toyed with the idea of being an author, and storytelling is something I've done so naturally since I was a baby. Like since I was always writing stories as a small child, and I was obsessed with books, and I was never out of a book until I got my Game Boy, and then I wasn't off my Game Boy. But remembered for my stories is what I'd like to be remembered for in 100 years. So if that's a cartoon or a video game or a book or a comic, then whatever it is, but something to do with my stories, yeah.
Perfect. And if you have like a last piece of advice or like key takeaway for our audience before we say goodbye?
Just always, like I said earlier, stay true to yourself. And if you're happy, then that's the best thing. Like if you're happy drawing, I don't know, donuts, then keep drawing donuts, you know? If you're happy, like writing or whatever it is that makes you happy, like I'm all for that. And there will be people in life that try and bring that down, and it might affect you, and you're only human, but you know, you can always push through it, and you're a lot stronger than you think. So yeah.
Perfect. I love it. And thank you so much again for being here and
Thank you.
sharing your inspiration with everyone. And it's amazing.
Thank
so
you.
Thanks again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And thanks everyone for joining, and see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know in comments. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more videos because I post new interview every single workday. You can also find the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a little freebie waiting for you, so go check it out. If you want to listen to the interviews on the go, make sure to check out the podcast episodes at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and don't forget to inspire each other. I will see you guys in the next episode.